This is a previously recorded episode of the ITintheD Show.
This show is broadcasting live from the Podcast Detroit studios in Royal Oak, Michigan. For more information about the show or our network, please visit www.podcastdetroit.com.
You are listening to what should be the number one technology podcast on SoundCloud this week, the one and only IT.
Well, I think we have 9 different tracks out now, so we'll just consolidate and Voltron them all, and yeah.
Exactly. But we are at episode 166, broadcasting live here in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob the Sales Guy here with Dave the Geek. Dr. Hook, Jeremiah's in the house from Daily Detroit. Find us online, ITintheD.com. We have an awesome guest lineup. We have Damian Rocky in the house from Grand River talking about IT
Circus.
training.
What was that?
He's not from the road.
Grand River.
Grand Circus. It's
Grand
so close,
Circus.
Right? I mean, it runs right through it.
It does. Damian's here from Grand Circus.
Thanks for getting that right.
Talking all things Grand Circus.
They just find their guests in the road. That's
Maybe
just what
it's
happens
the
here.
number 2
We picked him up on Grand
podcast.
River.
Terry Bean is in the house from TEDx. Did I get that right?
He was from 8 Mile. Yeah, very close.
Ted Y, Detroit, Chicago. I don't know. Dave, fire that thing already, for crying out loud.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
This is Max Headroom, and what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, IT in the D, it works every time.
You're listening to the IT in the D Show.
Hi, it's Count Chocula, and you're listening to IT in the D. Whatever the hell that is.
Just where do you guys think you are? The Library of Congress? Detroit? Beyond the sun?
Any of those right?
Take him to Detroit. No, not Detroit. No, please. Anything but that. No.
I used to hang out at the Magumbo Bar. It was a rough place, the seediest dive on the wharf, populated with every reject and cutthroat from Bombay to Calcutta. It's worse than Detroit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come. Shut up.
I dig you IT geeks. This is Dre DeMatteo from Sons of Anarchy. You are listening to IT in the D.
So what happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bunghole?
Exactly.
Come on.
Tries. What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the
show. Hi, this is Ralph Macchio, and you're listening to IT in the D Show. Wax on, you know what.
Bob loves it in the can.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to IT in the D Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the geek off.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, John Kreese from the Karate Kid movie. And you're listening to IT in the D.
Yes, Sensei! Are we at a break yet?
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to IT in the D. All you nerds out there.
Nerds?
Nerds.
What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump Pump. The IT in the D Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
You're in your underwear, I'm in my underwear. Hey, let's hang out.
No, I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache.
I definitely want to see Bob in his underwear. That's a fact.
That's why I like it in the can.
Which kind of scares the shit out of me.
Shut up, Barry.
Hello, everybody. This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. I'm a techie. I'm a nerd, fellow podcaster. My favorite podcast is IT in the D.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
It's just too big. It's way too big.
We got screwed at the same time.
Yeah. Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
We just lost our clean tag on iTunes.
This is Robert Hayes, the Ted Striker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo Bar, I'm listening to the IT and the D Show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the IT and the D Show. Tough guy. Ho!
My name is Michael Zapsik from AMC's Comic Book Man. You're listening to IT in the D. Com.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do. The question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
Thank you for listening. You are listening to the IT in the D show, broadcasting live here in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG is SIC.
Has the plague.
And so taking his place, we got Dr. Hook here, Jeremiah from Daily Detroit. Also in the house, Billy Straughter from Social Coop Media. Find us online, ITintheD.com. Don't forget, mark your calendars. October 20th, we're going to be back at the Blackfin post Pink Slip Party. Should be a great crowd. No speakers, no cover charge, no buttholes. Just a bunch of IT folks talking shop. And hope to see you out there from 5 until ?
Yeah, should be good. So yeah, I shot out an update today, which I hadn't done actually since the week of the Pink Slip Party. I realized because we've had so much going on. I mean, we've been everywhere. We did Monroe Comic Con. We did live broadcasts and panel discussions there. We were just at TEDx. Detroit, did a whole bunch of interviews there. We've had our events. We've just been dragged everywhere.
Speaking of TEDx, we have none other than Terry Bean in the house. Segment 3, we're going to be talking all things TEDx, kind of a wrap-up discussion. Welcome aboard, Terry. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a good time to hang out with you two.
It's like free PBR. What could go wrong?
Exactly. What could possibly go wrong?
Beer. Yeah, this is going to get bad soon.
Segment 2, we're joined by Damian Rocky from none other than Grand Circus from downtown in the Madison building, talking all things IT training, the tech scene in Detroit, co-working. It should be another fun conversation. Damian, thank you for hanging out with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
So, and we're trying. We're trying to get. I haven't seen a note yet, so it probably won't be tonight. We're trying to get Zachary Levi, Chuck. To those of you who used to watch the show, on the show, he has launched Save Chuck Again campaign. For those of you who don't know, Chuck was a phenomenal show that was on NBC. That was.
I'll say if you don't know Chuck, like even if you were like on the fringe of being a geek,
yeah,
you watched Chuck.
Yeah, it was the Big Bang Theory of then,
but
cooler.
But it was better.
Yeah, but cooler.
That was one of the. I mean, honestly, one of the perfect shows that's ever been like on regular TV that's been on a long, long time.
Oh, it was amazing, and so when people may not know, Chuck after the first season was going to get canceled. They launched a Save Chuck campaign. Subway stepped in, gave them giant bags of money, which is why Subway appeared prominently in seasons 2 through 5, and it's been on Netflix. And I saw it on Netflix, and I've been binge watching it like mad. I just finished, and I actually remembered that really probably would have been good to end after season 4 because season 5 was made. But anyway, but so Netflix announced that they're dropping it as of November 1st, and so Zachary Levi has launched the Save Chuck Again campaign.
Well, now that Netflix has canceled 50% of what they used to publish.
And I've been telling everybody and their brother to, hey, Netflix, Chuck's on Netflix, go watch it. And now that it's going to be gone, and it's going to be the jerk.
Hashtag Netflix. The storage prices on storage have gone down for storage.
We can hook you up with people.
Yeah, they have you can get like a 3 terabyte drive to hook in your Xbox for like $89. I'm sure we can buy you a few of those to give us more Chuck. How much does one of those shows possibly cost? But here's the bomb that got dropped, and I hope it doesn't come true. Not that they've ruined things, but Disney is in talks to buy the Netflix.
Please no.
And it's just going to become the
Disney Channel 3.
Well, everyone was kind of angry about them buying Star Wars, and I don't think they've done us wrong yet. They've actually been good to us.
Well,
the franchise.
They killed off the entire expanded universe. That was the first thing they did.
That's what though, but it still exists.
The first movie that came out.
No, just that they don't acknowledge it. Don't mean that they killed it. It still exists.
Yeah, but meh.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of us spent a lot of time, effort, energy, and money on those books and comics and stuff.
Right. Just because they don't acknowledge it doesn't mean those memories went away in your little head, Dave.
It still makes me angry. I'm allowed. Nerd rage.
I guess we'll see. The first movie was nostalgia, and then we'll see what the second one, we'll see what Rogue One does. It looks like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, Disney buying Netflix, I can see why they'd want it. So they can distribute all their shit.
Yeah, because they're smarter than Blockbuster. Yeah.
Right, exactly. How much do they want to? Oh my God, how much do they want?
20 million.
Was it 20 million?
Blockbuster turned down buying Netflix for 20 million.
Oh my God. You're the number 3 guy at Apple that nobody talks about. What the heck's his name?
Yeah.
But another bunch of weird stories that came out. Like Yahoo's still a thing.
Dude,
and it's
Yahoo's having the worst week ever this week. Like just bad story after bad story after bad story. You've got a lawsuit filed that says CEO Marissa Mayer was actively engaged in a campaign to rid the company of male employees. It's not your sex discrimination lawsuit that you typically hear, but that's what the lawsuit alleges. That through all of her programs and policies and procedures, that was her agenda. You had it come out that they were scanning emails for I believe it was the NSA.
For the government.
So every email, not that any of us used a Yahoo email account for anything other than fantasy football.
But
if you
uses Yahoo to send anything other than to sign up for your spam?
Who knows?
And Dave, for you signing up for your
87 Gmail accounts, that's what I have. Yeah.
Oh,
and now Verizon wants $1 billion discount on their purchase after the hack.
No, so sorry, Verizon. No.
Yeah.
No, you can't have no money back.
Yeah, no.
$1 billion. So
did you buy the car?
This isn't
Did you buy it as is?
Right.
Yeah, that's your car.
It's not a restaurant. It's not a restaurant, Verizon. You can't eat the steak and then say you got the shits and then want to have your money back
and then leave a 1-star Yelp review
and leave a 1-star.
Right. There's your that's what you can do, Verizon. You can leave a 1-star Yelp.
Wouldn't
review.
it be great if the CEO of Verizon left like Yahoo or Marissa a 1-star?
Oh, 1-star Yelp review. That'd be amazing.
Didn't they pay like $4.5 billion? Oh,
yeah, it was a lot of money.
So if you're dropping $1 billion check, let alone a $4.5 billion check, you have a plethora of people vetting.
Oh, there's a whole
things.
lot of lawyers that went through that whole thing. Oh, yeah.
All of the things.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're like, what possibly could they have found? It's not like, see, here's the thing. Remember when HP bought that turd of oh my God, I can't remember the name of it, for $10 billion, which ended up being just like an Iron Mountain storage company.
Yep.
And they ended up writing off $9 billion on the company.
Yeah.
And took their losses and took their lumps. This is like, they're asking Yahoo, we're not going to pay you. Are they pulling a Donald Trump on their contractors? We're not going to pay you all the monies. We're only going to give you $3.5 billion because your company's poo.
Yeah.
Which we could have all told Verizon very easily.
Yeah. We should be consulted on these.
It's fantasy football, and pretty much that's it.
And fantasy football.
Yeah, and my spam email account.
And fantasy football.
Right.
And baseball, maybe.
And they have Katie Couric. I think they have Katie Couric, too.
No, they own all the picture crap and all the stuff and
they're
the
kings of Dungeons and Dragons for guys who used to beat up guys who play Dungeons and Dragons. It's all the fantasy sports. That's all they do.
So like, hey, dear NSA, if you really want to find out what's going on, like don't, it's kind of like don't hack Hotmail addresses because it doesn't, no email.
But
from
maybe
Yahoo.
it's security through obfuscation. Maybe the people just, hey, nobody uses it, so therefore we're safe to use it because who'd be looking here?
AOL Instant Messenger's next. Watch out. Don't type anything bad on it.
I for a long time thought that Yahoo was just kind of the junk drawer of the internet.
It
you
is.
just kept buying things and collecting them, and then all of a sudden there's this drawer full of stuff that you might use once in a while.
That you managed to talk somebody into buying at a estate sale?
Right, exactly.
For retail, for full retail.
And then there's all these stick 'em in like towel things and towel rack holders and stuff, and you're like, what am I going to do with all this crap?
It'll make for a great Hoarders or American Pickers episode. I can't wait, right? You just go in, you buy the storage shed, go through it all, see what's in there.
That's what you should do.
Storage Wars.
They should have a crossover. They should have like the Pawn Stars guy and the American Pickers guys go through Yahoo's portfolio.
Yeah, and Pawn Stars like, best I can do is like $12.
Yeah, I'll give you $12 for all your email accounts. Yeah.
I got an expert. He does networking down at the casino.
He's going to sell it all on eBay anyway. It'll be perfect,
right?
But you know what? You know what? Who can eat the corn out of my? You know what is Comcast? Just when you thought you couldn't get any dumber, you went and did this to us. You are imposing a data cap on our stuff.
Okay, and I understand. From a logical perspective or from an emotional perspective, that's bad. It's a terabyte. Do you really, and I mean you, with as much crap as you do, have you looked at your bill?
No.
Do you come anywhere near a terabyte?
I don't know what I do.
Dude, I've got smart TVs and TiVos and gaming systems and laptops and tablets and phones and I'm not even a tenth of that. I'm now converted over with the main TV and the TV downstairs. That's the main source of the Netflixes and the Hulus and the. So it's all online now.
So I mean,
I'm not even close to that.
I had to go back to personal paid bill for. I was like one of the top guys at Cisco using for phone usage.
Yeah,
I had to pay 8 gig, and I'm like, I didn't even think I did that. Granted, I sat and watched a Lions game, my kid's soccer game, the entire game in full HD. But I mean, so I wonder how many people on the Comcast.
They said it's less than 1%.
But where does it stop? I mean, once you've set the precedent, don't businesses always kind of close it in and close it in and close it in?
Well, and that's when we'll get Michelle back here on the show, and we'll light her up about it, and we'll go from there.
So last week we talked about Facebook wants to be all the things. They want to get into Spark, like the whole business, Facebook for business.
Right.
Then they want to be Craigslist, so they do Facebook Marketplace.
And it took of 3 days before they had to issue an apology.
Which backfired
for items that were appearing on Marketplace.
Selling a bottle of water for $56. They're like, you knew that was going to happen, but who's paying for it? Who cares?
I told you guys, I opened up the Marketplace app for the first time and took a look at it, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was flooded with ads for prostitution. It turned out, no, it was just chicks trying to sell corsets. And
so you had buyer's remorse on that one. You thought it was going to be actually a girl, and
I
just got the damn corset in a Victoria's Secret bag. And you're like, God damn it!
This is what the American pickers will find when they go to Dave's house,
right?
So there's that. But I mean,
now they want to be Snapchat and doing this whole secret conversations bullshit.
They're rolling out the secret messages feature, which I'm not going to lie is not necessarily a terrible thing. I am curious to see how long it's going to take before somebody points out, it's not, it's like Snapchat. It doesn't really get deleted. It's always there.
I mean, it's just for boobs and wieners anyway. Am I wrong?
Snapchat?
Yes. No, but now Facebook's like, well, we want to be in that business too.
Snapchat, we want Snapchat's boobs.
Why did they just call it like Facebook?
B&W?
Facebook boob? Yeah, B&W.
Facebook TNA. That's what.
Now you.
FBTNA.com.
Yeah, exactly. You have to accept the TNC to access TNA with an FB.
Now you can send your bare boobies on Facebook and not worry about it screenshotting or anything.
Yeah, but doubling back on something I touched on earlier with the Yahoo and the NSA. I don't know who's in charge of procurement for the NSA, but I have to question their intelligence because we now have a second contractor from the same company that Snowden worked for. Because if you didn't know, Snowden was a contractor. He wasn't an NSA employee. He was a contractor through a company. And now a second one from that same company has taken a great number of secrets that will be potentially damaging to a lot of people and absconded with them.
Wait,
so that's
What?
amazing.
Wait, who?
So there's another employee.
Yeah, I followed all that.
Yeah, has now taken a whole bunch of new secrets and is threatening to release them and has them. And yeah.
That's all threatening to release them.
From the same company that Snowden
I got something you want to see, but I'm not going to give it to you until Thursday.
Yeah.
Enough with that shit. Just send it or don't send it.
Because then you wind up pulling the Armand Assange thing where I got it, but I'm not going to release it, but I got it.
It's going to be an October surprise.
It's going to blow everybody's mind. Nothing, psych. I didn't have nothing.
Stupid. So what do you make of this whole... Did you read the article on the Verizon workers?
Yeah.
Can get fired if they repair like traditional copper phone lines on a pole because they want...
Well, it's not their job.
No.
So, I mean, I like from a corporate policy point of view, I can see it because, you're Verizon. You are not in the phone line business.
They want everything directed back to their cell towers.
You don't want your people screwing around with phone lines. And I'm sure a little bit of it has to do with liability. Don't
they own the facility on the East Coast though? I thought they did.
Yeah,
they're the Mobile on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they? So basically, they're not fixing stuff that's theirs. It's supposed to be theirs.
Well, because they want stuff to either go A, underground, and get replaced by being buried, or B, switch over to wireless.
So since when did Verizon hire Apple's repair people? Because they just stop repairing stuff at some point.
Oh my God, I saw a great story. It was like a thing on Reddit going, my family's hotel just refurbished like last year, they spent like $200,000 putting in like the Apple, the iPhone docks, like the big wide one. And they just swapped them over and paid another $250,000 and like basically had the single port with the phone jack. And now the new phone just came out without the phone jack. So they're worthless again. So like you wonder how many like these hotels that have all this antiquated technology, like, hey, plug in a Cat 5 cable. It's like, I'd love to.
Yeah, there are places that still have that.
They all do.
They have the little lamp with the Cat 5 cable that comes out of it.
Totally, yeah. Because I just walk around with, if you don't have, I never got that whole business either. You either, put Wi-Fi in. Why is it so difficult? Why are you charging me $15 for an AP of floor that costs $150?
Right, total.
Right. The coffee house, everybody says, it's $8 to use Wi-Fi. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, it's because they can. And the other side,
not anymore. They can't.
Well, in so many cases, though, a lot of people will just expense it to the business, so they're not paying for it anyway. That's that magical economy that I don't quite understand of services that like normal people would never buy, but since it's expensible, like whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm not paying for it.
I'm not paying.
That's why when your boss called at like 8 o'clock at night, going send me your reports, and I'm like, shit, I got to find a Panera in the middle of Podunk, Ohio. Then they'll sell 2 bagels and a cup of lousy coffee, and I got to send my reports in on time.
So we talked a while ago about Craigslist shut down their adult section last year. And
what?
You didn't know that? We talked about it on the show. Yes, the Craigslist shut it down. Backpage
sucks.
Was still up and running.
Ruined his day all over again.
I know. Backpages.
What am I going to do tomorrow now?
Well, yeah.
Bob's having a tough day today, people.
So the CEO of Backpage has been overseas for a while. He was in, I believe, Amsterdam, and I guess he was coming to the U.S. for a business meeting. Stepped off the plane, got arrested. For pimping, pandering, and prostitution, the enabling thereof.
He was doing it, or Backpage was doing it, and he was responsible for it?
No, so girls post ads on Backpage.
Right.
And so they're saying, like they kind of threatened to do with Craigslist, which is why they shut it down. They said they were gonna come after him, and they had filed charges, and they were waiting for him to come back to the U.S. Well, he came back to the U.S., and he's now been arrested for pandering and enabling prostitution.
Can he take the Uber oath?
Hey, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Uber and pimps are identical. They have the exact same story, the exact same legal defense. We are not involved in what happens. We just put 2 consenting adults together. We take a cut. Anything that happens after that is on them.
I would like to see the person get you arrested for pimping, pandering, and prostitution, and like come out with like a scroll and possibly like a whole thing, because those 3 words together.
Big white wig.
Yes, very large white wig. It just sounds like something that belongs in like a comic.
Very 1700s.
Yes.
No, but he's like, it's almost like the Silk Road where he's getting, again, he's putting up the medium to have that transaction take place, but is he doing it?
No, and it's one of those things that's really, really weird, because I thought, and I'm sure this is probably going to be part of the legal battle, like part of the DMCA said that you as a carrier are not responsible for what other people post. Now, the loophole that they're trying to use to get around this is the whole, knowingly facilitating and all that stuff, because by and large, it's free to post anything on Backpage. But what the story was saying is that like the escort ads or, the massage ads or whatever the hell they were talking about.
No, you know all about them. Tell us more.
I read the story. Sorry. I actually read the links that we bounce back and forth.
I read
it. They charge people to post those ads, and apparently that's where the vast majority of Backpage's revenue comes from. And so, there's also all these allegations about, lying and misleading shareholders and da. So this will be a fun one to watch and see what happens.
Yay.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of Backpage.
Apparently they're trying.
But then Metro Times can exist.
It'll still be there.
Which has been funding their entire operation since its inception.
But they'll never talk about it.
But right, exactly.
So list came out. 10 greatest TV shows.
Go.
So we got...
No.
I'll go from the bottom up.
No.
We got The Daily Show. I'm okay with The Daily Show on the list.
We're talking 10 best TV shows of all time.
Yes.
Toilet. No, wait, no.
For what it did to bring
Daily Show is
news
groundbreaking.
of any kind into the American living room.
I look at this list and I know there's so much like There's so much toilet in this list. Just go.
So, and then you've got All in the Family.
I wouldn't put that in the top 10.
Dude, look how many.
No, I know, groundbreaking. I get it.
And look at how many shows and characters spun off of that show.
You're a meathead. Go.
Yeah. SNL, Saturday Night Live.
Fair. Completely fair.
Twilight Zone. First of its kind for the time. Sci-fi on TV.
First doesn't mean your best.
You name me a better sci-fi series that's like that in like that half-hour format. Go.
Star Trek. Old one. Go. Keep going.
The Simpsons.
Should be higher.
Maybe 10 years ago. Seinfeld.
Fair.
Mad Men.
No.
Mad Men's the one that didn't have me sold. I never got the hype about Mad Men.
No.
Breaking Bad.
No. Of all time?
According to them.
I mean, right now, tip of our tongue, sure. But if you go back the last 50 years, hell no.
Yeah. The Wire.
No.
Which that's another one I didn't get. And then I did. I wholeheartedly agreed with their number one, The Sopranos.
No. No.
What do you mean no?
There's so much toilet in this list.
Sopranos definitely has to be on that list, for sure.
It can be.
It permeated the culture. Like, the Sopranos were part of, like, everything. Even if you didn't watch The Sopranos, you knew The Sopranos. I mean, it was just part of it. It was just inspired so much.
The ending of the show broke the internet.
Where the hell's Kenny Powers?
Not on this list.
See? Blasphemy. It's garbage. Where's Beavis and Butthead? Garbage.
No.
Actually, I was thinking more South Park.
Yeah, South Park could be on there.
Simpsons did
You
it.
think of all, like,
Simpsons did it, yeah.
You think of all the iconic, like, just sitcoms that, like, Miami Vice. Miami Vice was as good as, that was a movie every single week.
Yeah, but then you've got to, do you put that up against Law and Order? You know, longest running serial on TV that, you know, has spawned all the spinoffs and all the shows.
Where the hell's Saved by the Bell? See, this list is
coming to a Comic-Con near you. That's where Saved by the Bell.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Diamond hat in hand.
They have pop vinyl figures of Kelly Kapowski
They do. We
and
saw that
Jesse
at Monroe.
Spanos. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I'd like two, please.
Right. No, and the problem with this list is if you saw who put it together, wasn't it like writers and producers? And every time you have like a critically acclaimed movie, it's always like no one likes it in the public, but everybody likes it that's in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's this list. It's all industry folks.
That's why they have the
people.
SAG Awards and they have the...
Right.
Yeah.
You give me the people that vote, and there's no way these 10 are, like maybe 2 or 3 are on. Simpsons, SNL, maybe The Sopranos.
You let the people vote, it'll be like CSI.
We let the people vote. It'll be what we saw.
Which one? The one with LL Cool J or Ice Cube? Which
There's
retired
Electoral College for a reason.
Yeah.
CSI retired rapper? That should be like the next one. Just
no, he's on NCIS.
Oh, and 4 letter word show. Someone retired. someone that hasn't been on TV in a long time. Like, wow, I recognize that face. I'll watch this. That's like that formula. Anyway, kiss my ass, Hollywood. All of you suck. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Damian Rocky from Grand Circus. This is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Schneider from Nip Tuck Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland. Secret Life of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. It's the IT in the D show.
ITintheD.com. This is a previously recorded episode of the IT in the D show.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening. This is the IT and the D show, episode 166. We're at the second segment here, broadcasting live out of Podcast Detroit Studio 1 in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek. Dr. Hook Jeremiah from Daily Detroit is in the house, along with Billy Straughter from Social Coop Media. Nuri, the FNG, is SIC. Find us online, ITintheD.com. Give us a like on the Facebook. Give us a follow on the Twitters. Shout out to Randy and Ian for keeping everybody up to speed with the links on the Twitters. And give us a review on the iTunes, please.
We're stuck again?
I almost said the iPhones. Yeah. We should tell all our guests to leave a review, even if it sucks. I don't care. And then no one does. You think, how many guests have we had over 166 episodes? We have 65 reviews. It's not acceptable at this juncture.
You start yelling at people.
But hey, our friends, thank you to our friends at Lenovo for sponsoring this episode. Do us a favor. Check out Lenovo. Imagine if you have a house guest coming over, but you only have one bedroom. What if you can order an extra bedroom for your guests that you could remove after they leave? It's kind of like Airbnb on demand. How cool is that? Jeremiah, you'd like that. That's the idea behind Lenovo's next generation data centers built for cloud computing. The cloud's all about giving your company the ability to expand and contract server space on demand without actually adding more hardware. Lenovo understands on-demand access can give your company tremendous competitive advantage. The faster you can scale up, the faster your dev team can test new apps. That means you can get new product features to the market faster. That kind of flexibility is worthless if your servers are down. Not only that, you got to call the server guy. Server guy's got to call the network guy. Network guy's got to call the storage guy. That process is lengthy. Lenovo servers are number one in reliability and performance because you do not have time for downtime. If you are feeling handcuffed by proprietary hardware-software relationships, Lenovo systems allow you to partner with all the leading software providers to ensure your cloud solution is best in class. Do us a favor. Learn how Lenovo can transform your data center at lenovo.com/data center. That's lenovo.com/data center. And thank you for the support.
Yeah, we've actually got the 5 chats that we've had with them thus far out on the SoundCloud feed. We'll embed it in one and probably throw it here as a segment.
Awesome conversations.
Yeah, very, very cool.
But hey, we are joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Damian Rocky here from Grand Circus, Detroit. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
Do you regret?
Not Grand River?
No. Do you regret saying yes now?
I'm still trying to figure this out. I mean, we've been on the show a lot of times, and this is my first time, so.
We figured we bring we bring all your underlings.
We've had everybody but you. We were just working our way up.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Grand Circus, not Grand River. Just to clarify.
I have no idea where that came from. Honestly, the more we say it, the more it's going to stick.
It's
right?
stick in your head. Yeah.
But I mean, for all those that are not in the know, I mean, obviously, how not could you know? But if just in a nutshell, what is Grand Circus?
Great question. So. Well, Grand Circus we do a lot of things. Most of what we do is we train people to be entry-level software developers. So what we do is we run these programs we call boot camps, which take people from, sort of a curiosity about tech or, people to try to teach themselves how to do software, development. And we spend 10 weeks with them teaching them full-time, all the skills they need to get a job. So that's the business.
So, I mean, I guess after 10 weeks, what do they look like to a company as, junior Java, junior .NET developers? I mean, what can they do coming out of those 10 weeks?
Yeah, good question. I mean, they come out as entry-level developers. I mean, that's definitely the sort of the job description generally. Having said that, we've had, some of our students go into sort of business analyst roles, QA roles.
Okay.
But, generally what we do is we develop courses around, particular technology. So we have a .NET boot camp, which focuses on C#. We have a Java boot camp, and then we have a front-end JavaScript boot camp. So generally that's the flavor of people you see when they they pop out the other end of our boot camp.
Now, how many of those, I guess, positions of the boot camps are being driven by companies saying, hey, I need 10 junior Java developers, or or is it the other way around?
We don't do it that way. I mean, I think we've sent our graduates to about 80 companies now, and so we're talking
and our Pink Slip Party events.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, you guys won't have us. No, that's a joke. You asked us though. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We actually had quite a few that showed up last time around. Yeah,
we've sent a lot of people your way because it's such a great event. So I mean, we just talk to companies all the time, and they sort of let us know what they need. But we don't go around and count up. There are 20 job descriptions for Java, entry-level Java developers, so we could have a boot camp this month. We just run boot camps that we think are going to be successful.
Well, because that's a big conversation for us is what do people need, right? Because we saw, and we just got
every
an email.
recruiter we taught, it's Java, .NET, mobile app dev.
Well, and we just saw a guy that just sent a note saying, yeah, guys, I'm an iOS developer. You said I would walk out with a job. I didn't help.
Well, he wasn't the one we were talking about. That's but yeah, no, well, and he was one of the entry-level guys, the one that shot us the note.
Right.
Yeah.
But we always try to stay ahead of it just so we can talk to the folks at these Pink Slip parties and whatnot going, what's next? What are people looking for? Every recruiter we have in here, what's next? What are people looking for? Just so there's people not, whatever, being in an MCSE.
Well, I mean, it goes along with the whole path conversation. Like, okay, this is what you should expect to do. Because we do. I mean, in addition to the Grand Circus folks, we see a lot of folks that show up. Hey, I'm thinking about getting out of industry X. I want to get into IT. How do I go about doing that? All right, here's what you do. You go to a boot camp like that. You go get a job at a help desk. And this is what you should expect over the next 18 months, 36 months. And that's why we try to keep on top of that stuff. Same thing with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. We get asked that all the time about what's next, what's hot. I mean, the thing that we've learned is that it's really difficult to predict that long term. So the way we sort of develop our philosophy, if you like, is to kind of create, people with students with a really solid foundation of knowledge so that they can teach themselves. I mean, things are going to change, right, over time, but we like to think that and we've only got 10 weeks. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, there's only so much you can learn over that course of time. So we're really trying to create people that have sort of some understanding of how to learn, if that makes sense. And
because once you learn, it's kind of like the Romance languages. Once you learn French, Spanish, and Italian, you can kind of pick up.
Exactly.
Once you learn one of the object-oriented programming languages, the others get easier to pick up along the way.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's really guided us, for the last 4 years.
But you guys aren't just doing boot camps; you're also co-working.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the other side of the business. So we have two very clear sides. One is about talent, and that's the boot camps and the other classes we run. The other side is really trying to be a bit of a community organizer downtown. So we have co-working space, for people that want to work in tech, or they have a startup and they want a place to sort of hang a shingle. We do events, so it's a variety of things around the community side that we also participate in.
A lot of bikes in that office. A lot of bikes.
A lot of bikes.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Everybody's being eco-friendly.
Yeah. Well,
just wait till we're only about a couple of weeks away from snow. Wait.
They still ride their bikes.
Well, I can't see how they're riding bikes on Woodward right now with the rail tracks. I heard that's the biggest pain in the arse.
Just don't. You just don't. Do not ride your bike on Woodward. Because if you just make a wrong little move, it'll just get stuck in the groove, and you're going to have your face in the street.
Yeah, this is a real
just
problem.
don't do it.
Right, well, where I come from, they have these tram cars, and people die. I mean, literally die when they get caught in these grooves, and they just can't get out, and then you sort of you crash.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder if there was any way around that, or if that's just what it is.
Thanks, Dan Gilbert.
So, I mean, you're part of, I guess, the whole DVP portfolio.
Yeah, we are.
Detroit's kind of did a 180 from me remembering it 15 years ago as a young lad going to what was the brand new Comerica Park at the time and kind of the downtown scene. I mean, it's as vibrant as I remember. I mean, how long? Now, you've been here how long?
I've lived here a couple of times. The most recent time since 2009.
Okay,
everything started to come back a little bit.
But I mean, it's amazing watching that little area. Food trucks and people walking and restaurants and
it's crazy. I mean, you were down there last week. We were hanging out. So I mean, when I started at Grand Circus, it was we were at the Madison building, which was one building in that area.
Yep.
And now it's 5 buildings. You have 300-400 people in that little area of Detroit, which is just one area that's sort of exciting right now. But it's even the last 4 years, it's been crazy.
I took Woodward. After I left with you, I took Woodward home. I wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah.
Because I remember that vividly because I used to work on Milwaukee and Woodward for not too long. And just everything that's changing, it's remarkable. It's fun to watch. I went to Wayne State in college. There was nothing there. We had like Z's Place in Alvin's to go have a drink, and there was nothing. Now it's like everything's getting built and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, they're not relying on fake storefronts anymore
right.
for the Super Bowl, yeah.
It's interesting to us. Like when we started, I remember one of the early challenges was convincing people it was safe to come downtown. I mean, this was 4 years ago.
Yeah,
and
we've had that for years with our events.
Right, but people aren't asking you that anymore. Like it seems that it's sort of something's changed in the last couple of years. It feels like people are just used to the idea of being downtown and they're excited about it like you.
I've gotten robbed more in Auburn Hills than I have in Detroit. Just saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think it's the density. It's all the things happening where there's no more, where you don't have as many breaks of dead space. So right in that same block, you've got so much happening from Wright and Company to all those restaurants. And then even the 2 buildings that have been abandoned for years on the Madison block, those are going to be up and running in just a couple of years. That's
right.
like with the boutique hotel and then the Metropolitan building.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. The Love Building, right? Well, the Love Building and then the Wurlitzer, they're the two that you're
Yeah, the
talking about.
Wurlitzer. Yeah, I
they're pretty
forget
cool.
what the actual. I've heard it called the Metropolitan or whatever, the Triangle Building.
Yeah.
I think it's funny with the Aloft hotels. I stay at the one in Chicago by the airport all the time for like $120 a night, $99 a night. And then the one in Detroit, I go, oh, cool, we'll stay there.
Yeah, it's not
like
cheap.
$300.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like,
Well, there's
Neil
actually like
prices.
there's actually a high run on hotel rooms downtown right now. It's one of the reasons why they're building more, is because there's so much demand for it. There's been such an uptick in the convention business. If you talk to someone like Dan over at Visit Detroit, there's been such an uptick that there's actual demand for all these things. When back in the day, you could just like for funsies go to the Rensen Marriott for whatever, just for a fun night.
That was a once a quarter staycation.
$99.
Yep, booking a room at the W, gonna go hang out. Yeah, we'll hit the casino. Yeah, we'll hit
you can
Greek
still
Town.
get it on Hotwire if you're lucky. Because there's only the 4.5 stars Motor City. This is a little pro tip here. Write this down. The 2 4-stars are only the W Book Cadillac and the Rensen.
Oh,
right.
really?
So if you see like $115 4-star, it's one of those two.
Oh,
If
really?
you see 4.5 star, like
What about-
130, it's Motor City Casino.
What about Greektown? Greektown doesn't make that list.
Hotwire doesn't. They don't go through Hotwire. It's only those 3. So I mean, every time call my wife like, hey, we're staying at the W tonight. We're going to go to dinner at whatever, and we're going to have drinks or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean,
lots of change.
Yeah. So I mean, talk to me about with Grand Circus. I mean, is there an involvement? What's next? I mean, what do you see as kind of great. You're getting people through boot camps and you're getting people trained up. There's a huge demand to keep talent in town, and you're fulfilling it. Right, but is there a next? Is there a
for Grand Circus?
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've got. It's funny, like over the last 18 months, we were worried that we might hit a bit of a ceiling in Detroit, but it's accelerated. I mean, there just seems to be more and more jobs for developers, and we have more and more students that want jobs. So we haven't seen that slowing down. But for us, something that we're looking at is how to grow in Michigan more broadly. So I don't know if you guys saw, we've just launched our first boot camp outside of Detroit and Grand Rapids. So for us, it's about going to other places and trying to grow the business. So that's next for us.
Right. I mean, we were thinking about that too, but it can't be Podcast Detroit and Grand Rapids. But maybe
Sorry, was I allowed to sneak that in?
No,
actually, funny story.
I thought you guys were like
You could be
international.
Podcast Detroit on Grand River.
Yeah,
right. No, actually, the funny story about that, based on our conversation yesterday, I forgot to tell you, we got to talk.
Really?
We'll talk during the next break.
Good podcast, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
Way to vague book your podcast, Dave.
Hey,
Is it because I'm in the room? Or?
No.
No.
Because I'm not ready for these people to hear it yet.
Okay.
Right. Not even.
So you guys don't go to Grand Rapids?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Just making sure.
They can hear us in Fiji right now. If someone's tuning in,
How many countries is it now, guys?
all of them.
It was 51.
Dave blocked North Korea because he wasn't a fan.
Are you in Australia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have
Are
listeners
you
there.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey, guys.
all three of
There's
you.
my family listening.
Yeah, no, because that's a conversation I always had with some of the people that used to work there. It's like you're going after the 1 and 2 folks, but I go, really, would it be a great evolvement for Grand Circus is to like go to these bigger companies going, what do you need? We'll grow them for you, right? You kind of have you ever tackled that? And I guess what was your success rate?
That's a great question. I mean, that's another area of growth. I'm glad you brought that up because we've really focused on, getting people from zero to that first job, right?
Yeah.
And then we've kind of let them go, right? But I think another area of growth for us is actually staying with them after they become, a developer and really helping them to continue to grow. And companies are really interested in that. I mean, the other thing, more broadly we're seeing is this idea of getting more diverse tech teams kind of developed. So, that's the other thing the companies are very focused on right now. How do we get more people of color? How do we get more women? So another real area of growth, we think, in the industry.
Yeah, because Dave always talks about getting, laying off mainframe guys and then hiring.
Retooling them?
Yeah.
Well, no,
talking about retooling them instead of laying them
It's a
off.
conversation I had with it was a VP of IT who, like, at the start of our conversation was lamenting the fact that they just got rid of like 30 of their back end mainframe developers, yada yada yada, and then 20 minutes later was bitching about the fact that he couldn't find enough front end .NET. And I'm like, okay, genius, you had people that knew your back end systems. With a couple of months worth of work, you could have had the purple squirrels that everybody and their brother's looking for, which is that front end developer that knows back end systems intimately. and you would have solved your own problem.
Makes a lot of sense, Dave.
Oh, so I didn't think about that.
You'll have to tell me who this guy is. We should talk to him
off the air.
More vague booking. You guys. So how do people find more about Grand Circus?
Well, a couple different ways. You can go to our website, grandcircus.co. That's C-O. There's no M. I mean, the other thing you can do is, as you found out, Bob, just come down and see us. I mean, we're always there. We're always happy to talk to people that are interested in what we do. And,
And don't
ask us more
drink
questions.
the coffee out of the paper cup. It's bad for the environment. I pick up a paper cup and I pour my coffee. Then I see a huge sign going, don't use a paper cups. It's bad for the environment. Use a ceramic one.
Well, but then why do they have the paper cup?
Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Bob got death stares from the team. Like, what do? You're killing seals.
Really want to see who the anti-environmentalists are. You rotten.
What's the environment ever done for me anyway?
So I'm walking around apologizing for my paper coffee cup. Like,
it was funny.
Morning, nice to meet you. Sorry for the cup.
Right.
Morning, nice to meet you. Sorry.
It was funny because as Bob left, he looked over to our front desk and said, "I'm taking this with me. I'm going to use it all day today. So I'm going to recycle it." Really guilted him.
He threw it on the ground outside.
Totally under my car in the parking lot.
You should have accused him of like clubbing baby seals or something like that.
Exactly.
It's buried under 17 bags of Funyuns in his front seat currently.
That's my Marc Jacobs jacket's made out of baby seals, just so you know. I'm not wearing it till it's at least 40 degrees out. But hey, grandcircus.co, there's tons of boot camps. They're cycling all the time. I guess what are the classes coming up?
So we have boot camps. So coming up, we have all of our boot camps in October are fall. The next real launch of cohorts are in January. So we have, I think, 4 starting in Java, JavaScript, .NET. But then if you just want to take a short class, we have a ton of those as well. So if you look at our site, there's a bunch of workshops and seminars on really anything that you could be interested in. So
I think
check
Bob
us
should
out.
teach a sales guy class.
Bob pitched me on something like that.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It needs to be taught. No, I want to. That's my dream later in life.
Real necessity.
Is to either teach at Walsh or teach somewhere.
I like that idea.
Sales methodology because nobody teaches it. I remember taking a sales class at Macomb, which is why I got into sales to begin with, which is complete toilet now that I look at it. It needs to be taught because there's a problem. And none of that
you
crap.
need the Sandler system.
None of that crap. No.
I like that. Most sales guys are like, you can't teach it. Can't teach it. It's like it's in your blood.
He's going to walk in dressed like Matt Foley. Let me tell you something about
You don't know jack squat.
There's so many bright people with great ideas, but so often it's that sales side because if you don't have sales, you don't have a thing. And I think so many people forget about it. They're so focused on the widget or making the product, but without sales, without someone to buy it, you don't have a company. You don't have any of that.
You want to see smoke come out of Dave's ears?
Huh.
You're a sales guy, Dave.
I know, we know. No, 10 years ago, smoke would have come out of my ears.
No, my philosophy is everyone's a sales guy. I don't care if my wife, who's a physician assistant, or if you're a janitor. There's a part of you that is a salesperson. If you have to sell to your boss, if you have to sell to your clients, if you have to sell to the people that are on your floor, you're a salesperson.
I'm hearing the corporate soft rock in my head right now from the Sales Guy podcast, just playing right in the background.
Sales Guy podcast. No,
I should do it, man. I should do it.
Little Tony Robbins in there. You can be a sales guy.
You can be anything you want to be.
Damien, appreciate you hanging out with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's fun, I guess, seeing you guys. Full classes in October. That's kind of that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
Filling that niche, keeping people here.
I'll pencil them in. I'll pencil them all in for our January event.
And I tell you, it's been a big part. You guys have been a big part of it. So thanks for all your help. It seems like every time someone comes on this show, we get a ton of interest. So
we just told you to drop the.
No, Brad. Yeah, I told Brad. GrandCircusDetroit.com. No co.
We tried to get the .com. We couldn't.
No, the .com's a band.
It's a band in Ferndale, yeah.
But you have the .Detroit, GrandCircusDetroit.com, and then it's too long.
Yeah, that's true.
But regardless, GrandCircus.co.
.co.
And Damien, appreciate the time spent with us. And
thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah, Grand Circus, Damien Rocky. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Terry Bean, talking about all things TEDx Detroit. This is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITintheD.com.
Sweet dreams of a rhythm and dance.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening. This is the one and only IT in the D Show, episode 166. We are on the third segment, broadcasting live here in Podcast Detroit from the Golden Towers of a one-story building in Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG is SIC. So we got Jeremiah, Dr. Hook from Daily Detroit in the house. Billy Strotter, who's been the most talkative human being we've ever had on the show from Social Coop Media is in the house. Find us online.
I swear I thought he was going to lean forward and go, shush.
Find us online, ITintheD.com, because we are ITintheD, and you
still are not.
Still, and just good luck there, Skippy.
Yeah, and 10/20 we'll be at the Blackfin in Royal Oak. Don't forget that. We actually just had our podcaster meetup last Thursday. That went really well again. I think we've got another show that's going to be starting out of that. So yeah, good times. We've always got something going on. That's what we do. And speaking of always got something going on, last Thursday we were down at TEDx Detroit, even though we were at the kids' table. At Thanksgiving, because we were across the street at Comerica. But we had
gotta wait till 17 companies die before we get to get in the Fox.
But no, we had a really good time. I mean, like I said, you know, the what was the guy's name? Adam Janai from Mob Steel. We could have sat there and talked to him for we did talk to him for half an hour. We could have talked to him for an hour.
No, I was just angry because we were right next to the Dippin' Dots booth, and there wasn't any Dippin' Dots for me to eat.
And all the bars were closed. Yeah, just putting us in Comerica Park by all the closed bars and the unplugged Dippin' Dots.
The taps that didn't work. I want beer.
Nope. So much beer you couldn't drink.
It was cruel.
Well, we are joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Terry Bean, multiple offender here on the ITintheD show. But thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me again, guys. I like it.
So, I mean, TEDx, it's almost become, mistake me if I'm wrong, but a year-round production to get that thing as smooth as you guys do and to pull off what you guys do. I mean, it's almost a years of management or almost a whole year of work.
Well, yeah, we talked with Janet from Red Level while we were there. And she said basically, okay, yeah, we'll take the next month. And I was like, and sleep? She was like, yeah, pretty much.
There's a hangover period for sure.
And then, you guys will get into like recap mode and figure everything out.
Start again, right? Figure out where we're going to be, when we're going to do it. We've got to make sure that we don't interfere with count day at the schools and any of the holidays that go on in September, October, and pick the right date so it can be an inclusive event.
But not only that, you've swapped venues. I mean, are you going to stick at the Fox as long as you can? So, I mean, it's been moving venues just to try to, I guess, taking what you can get, right?
Well, it's a matter of making sure that people get an experience, right? So you want to see different places and check out different gems in the city. So that's always important to us. And there are only so many spots in Detroit that can actually hold 2,500 plus people, right?
Yeah.
And it grows year after year after year. So I'm not really sure what's next.
So for those not in the know, I mean, give me a 10-second overview on like what TEDx is. Obviously, it's the regional of TED, but give me an overview on like what TED Talks are.
So TED is an acronym for Technology, Entertainment, Design. It started back in 1984, and it was the idea of sharing ideas worth spreading. So that's TED. The X came out as an independently produced event that started in 2009. Since that time, there's been over 17,000 independently produced events. And Detroit's one of the oldest and one of the largest. We started doing this here in 2009. So we just had our 8th event on October 6th.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's been a big run, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are – go ahead.
I was just saying, and just talking about kids, I mean, there were a ton of kids running around downtown Detroit with TEDx badges.
626 to be exact. And all those kids got in on scholarship. That's part of the reason the ticket price is $100, because for every ticket you buy, we're trying to bring a kid in to see it for the first time. So we had high schools represented from 5 different counties in the Detroit metropolitan area. And it was an amazing experience. I was just reading the emails from the students and some of the educators just saying, hey, thanks. So for every 5 students, we have to bring a parent type or an educator chaperone, and it was an amazing experience for them. And historically we've always tried to have one kidpreneur on the stage as well,
right?
So they get to kind of see what they could be doing. So it's a day of inspiration for everybody.
But we always kind of joke like, what's the end then? But for me, I think it finally clicked. Like, if you can take one thing one person did and implement it into your daily life, I mean, is that the worst thing in the world that happened to you today?
Absolutely.
Right? And so I said, like, my whole thing has always been the action item. What's next? What's the, what do we take out of this? How do you implement? And I I think it finally clicked. I mean, I guess talk to me about some of the people that this year that were speaking that kind of brought it.
So one of my favorite talks this year was a guy named Kari Turner. He's from the Mayor Coleman A. Young Foundation.
Okay.
And Coleman Young was the mayor of Detroit for 20 years and probably one of the most divisive people in the history of Detroit. And so if you're in
Get out of town, Terry.
I know it's news, right? You guys hadn't known that. But the reality was he started with a statement in his inaugural address back in the 70s, and he said basically what everybody in Oakland County, the county just north of Detroit, thought they heard was, hey, Whitey, hit 8 Mile, we got this. But what he actually said was, hey, all you pushers and pimps, hit 8 Mile. So he was trying to kick out kind of the riffraff of the city. So it was a big misnomer, and it really drove a wedge between the city and the suburbs. And so what Kari did an excellent job was kind of flipping that script and showing what Coleman Young did to kind of lay the foundation for the Detroit that we see today, right? And he really kind of future planned it. It was really cool. And it was a great talk, and it's amazing to try and encapsulate such a lifestyle and such a history and a legacy into an 8-minute talk. And
Coleman Young wanted the casinos on Belle Isle, if I'm not mistaken. I was a young pup when that was happening. But I remember that was a huge topic of conversation back then.
Well, you think about it, man. How much better off would Belle Isle be today if it had that kind of traction and that kind of impact?
The traffic would be...
Can you imagine
bad
the traffic?
Now.
Yeah.
No way.
It would be a whole different scene, though, right?
Yeah.
And so, up until a year ago, people weren't really thinking about, hey, what really could we do with Belle Isle to make it great? Now there's cool things going down there on the regular, but I don't know that you could put all three of them there. I mean, there was a talk when we're going to try and put them on the river, too. I think it all worked out with where the casinos are.
Yeah, I still would have liked them on the river. I just did a yacht wedding on this weekend, and we went from basically from Jefferson Beach Marina all the way to Ambassador Bridge, turned around and went back. And I paid a lot of attention to the waterfront, and just looked and said, God, it would have been amazing to put Comerica Park like almost right past like in Southwest Detroit, and just kind of tie that in and put another stadium at the north end, like almost a little bit, not quite at Belle Isle, and just put a 8-lane boulevard in between those two things, three things.
Phenomenal.
Oh my! It would have been like, to me, it reminded me of like what San Francisco is, from AT&T Park and the Candlestick or whatever they call it today,
whatever it is now.
Yeah, all the way down to the wharf, which would have been our Belle Isle, and just the way they did. You know what I mean? Like, oh, someone missed the boat, but granted, those are hundreds of years of we were a huge shipping area, so I mean, there's lots of industrial going on in that river that you really just can't displace.
It's going to be fantastic to see what they end up doing with that now, though, because that's going to be one of the biggest areas of change in the city is that whole riverfront, that warehouse district.
Absolutely.
We were just covering a story. They just raised another couple $100 million and exceeded all of their fundraising goals to do even more. And there's rumors of like everything along that riverfront. But what it is going to be is a real turbocharge to the economy all the way up there and into those neighborhoods to a degree, especially if you're running that river walk from bridge to bridge, from Ambassador to Belle Isle. That really opens up opportunities for investment and development to a lot more than just downtown.
But Jared, my whole thing was, it turns into the Logic Kobo, it turns into 75, where it turns into 75. When that should have not been part of it. So it's kind of locked in a little space where it should have been extended.
Well, did you see the plan a little while ago where it was actually floated to actually bury 375?
Yeah.
Yep. That would be amazing. It's expensive, but it would be amazing for the walkability and really tie these areas together. Because when you've got a freeway between folks, it really does act as a real barrier. Even if you've got like a bridge or whatever, it's not fun to bike over. It's not fun to walk over, and it just would help create more of a cohesive picture when it comes to neighborhoods. And then that way, that's how that energy can keep spreading farther and farther into the neighborhoods, which is, I think, what everybody really wants to happen.
I guess so. Talk to me. Who's some other speakers that really stood out this year?
I think one of the biggest things that I saw, and I didn't get to see much of it because I was running around doing all kinds of crazy things during the course of the day, but there was...
No, I saw you at Comerica and you didn't see me and say hi.
I was like that, dude.
I know how it is.
It's the old saying, right? If I'll see you, not if I see you first, that kind of deal. Yeah. That's how that goes, right? So Fourth Wall Production is a group that actually is a theater. They teach theater. So like Grand Circus, but for kids trying to learn theater. And they brought out a group of disabled students, mostly with Down syndrome, and they came out and sang a song. Actually, they did sign language for this song, and it was the absolute tearjerker of the day, man. It brought the house down. But TEDx is really kind of a cool thing. We've got all kinds of different acts. We've got artists coming out and painting. One guy did a painting the entire day. 3 I believe is his name. 3000 fell. Trying to get that right. And then we had musical acts. We had some rap music. We had the Detroit belly dancer troupe. So we had 8 different belly dancers coming out, man. And it was just amazing. The diversity that's in this city ends up being the diversity that's on that stage. So you have the opportunity to really experience all the best that this area has to offer. And people always ask, what's the theme? What's the theme? Well, the theme is very simple. It's ideas worth spreading. That's the tagline for TED. But here in TEDx Detroit, the only consistency is that you either have to have lived here, grown up here, gone to college somewhere in the area, or be living here now. So you have to have a tie to Detroit, or at the very least Michigan, and then we bring some of that talent that's left back. Rick Lax is a magician, came up and did some amazing stuff. So Damien got a chance to see it.
Yeah, it was great.
I heard good things. I didn't see that one. I saw the shadow puppets, man. Look, catch the shadow
I heard that's
puppets.
how they open things off. Yeah.
Look, an
People
alligator.
actually enjoyed the as I was walking around listening to people talk about that performance, they're like, I really enjoyed that shadow puppet performance, and I don't understand why. But it was good.
Did they caw when they made the birds on the caw?
I did shadow puppets
exactly.
look like this.
Dog, it's an alligator.
It's a bird. That's the extent of
Wasn't that great? I thought Eric Thomas got up, man, and Eric Thomas has been kind of leading the charge from the African American community here in Detroit. You guys have probably had him on the show by now. You've hung out with him a couple of times. His talk was
marathon
off the
session.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you guys did like a 3-hour thing. With
4.5.
4.5. So he really held it down, man. I know that dude was practicing that talk, and he absolutely rocked it. Billy was there running our social media the entire day, so he and his team came out and got to hang out. So Billy got all the instant feedback in real time. So what were the people saying, man?
The feedback was great. It was positive. They really loved the diversity of the speakers. Like you mentioned, Kari was a big hit, but there was a lot of positive feedback about all of the speakers that we had and performers. There was, Mike killed it when he came out on stage, Mike Ellison. Mm-hmm. And even the night before, we did a Facebook Live where he did some spoken word in the upper balcony, just giving people a sneak peek of what was coming with TED. So it was a blast. I mean, we were running, there was Snapchat, there was Instagram stories, Facebook Live, and of course, we were doing all the stuff on the Twitters.
That's why I was laughing. Billy saw me smiling. I go, "Oh, Billy managed the Twitters." Oh.
I figured I'd beat you to it, Bob.
Somebody had to.
Somebody had to.
Well,
have
no,
the
but
Twitters.
you talk about just from a diversity of what was out there. I mean, like I look at the people we talked to. So, we talked to Dave Meeker from Isobar. Had very cool stuff about like 3D modeling and architecture and how it applies to ancient civilizations, or even like modern day wonders that are disappearing and how like that technology should go there. We had Chris Gibbons from Histosonics, which had that technology with the ultrasonic vibration, trying to get rid of cancer and all that. I think it was liver cancer they were focusing on first. We had, like I said, Adam Janai, Mob Steel. Dude, had just a wonderful conversation with him for, I think it was about 20, 25 minutes. Everything from...
He's going to do a West Coast Choppers reality TV show, but doing Detroit Muscle.
Yeah, it goes live this month.
He couldn't drop what station it's on, but we'll...
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on their site.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah.
Just having that whole conversation, especially with high school kids in the audience. I mean, this was a good conversation to have. That there's that whole like our generation basically skipped over vocational tech.
Yeah.
And like I look at like
you
my
have to
nephews.
go to college. You got to go to college.
There's no shop class in schools anymore because it was devalued. And so there's this whole generation now that doesn't know how to work with their hands. Not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody needs to be a doctor. Not everybody. That's not how the world works. You need people to build the things.
And you got an entire generation of baby boomers that are retiring, and the electricians, the welders, the plumbers, the
median age in the unions was like 55.
Yeah,
there's a vacuum about to suck all that talent out, man.
Yeah.
So, and those are $100,000 a year jobs,
and no one realizes that they are.
Right.
Well, so you're talking with him about the work that he's doing with customizing cars and that, and just very, very cool stuff. Like I said, Janet, we were talking with her in the TEDx capacity. She's one of the producers, but she's the COO of Red Level. So just what they have going on and what they're doing, and with the wireless network saturation there and all that kind of fun stuff. And then the last one, Zaria Ware, who was a poet and a filmmaker, and her TED Talk was about basically from the female perspective of empowering women and the rape culture today and all that kind of stuff, which. Hi,
Is that
Donald
a big
Trump.
deal? Rape culture?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Have we heard that over the last couple of days at all? So yeah, I mean, just the diversity of who we talked with, and just even for the time that we were there was just awesome. Just a lot of cool ideas and a lot of important stuff to get out there.
And that's a whole nother segment, right, that we didn't talk about. So you've got roughly 24 different performers and presenters on stage, but there was a couple 2-hour segments roughly where everybody leaves the Fox Theater, goes across the street to Comerica Park, the TEDx Labs, where evidently the children's table was where you guys were hanging out.
We were at the card
behind the Dippin' Dots booth.
But
we were at the
they
card
weren't
table.
selling Dippin' Dots,
No,
as I recall.
that was why I was angry.
Yeah, and lots of beer taps that weren't open,
Right.
and no handles or anything.
No.
But so TEDx Labs is a whole different experience, right? It's hands-on, it's interactive, so you can go up and touch and play with and hang out with people. And
the Detroit Science Center was there. In fact, we ran into Grand Circus there. We ran into there was actually a couple people that I wound up trading cards with about getting them on the show because there were a lot of cool concepts floating around there.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts, right? So it's what's new, what's next, what's going on now.
Yep.
And so it's a really kind of just the overall hip thing. Now, speaking of hip, I had the over-under at 4 man buns that I saw. I thought for sure there would be at least 6, but I only saw 4, man. Did you guys catch any man buns?
No.
I saw one.
You saw one?
Yeah, one. It was actually somebody I knew. And I said, I walked up and I said, I'm like, when did you start samurai training? I had no idea.
See, now everyone that I saw a guy the other day, and asked him if it was a clip-on.
Right.
That's a thing apparently.
Because they have those.
Oh,
right.
That's now?
Yeah.
You can get clip-on man buns.
Right. I need one because
this sounds like a great fundraiser. Bob with a clip-on man bun.
No,
for how much money?
I need it because I have a bald spot there,
need like
and
8.
I need to cover it. I know. I totally do.
He needs a man bun bakery.
Several different pigtails.
Right.
Cute, like Cindy Olsen.
So we talked about when do you guys start taking submissions for 17?
So we'd like to talk about doing it in January and February, but really by the time we actually get to it and are fully organized, it's probably going to be June. The best way to keep up with that is to follow us on our Facebook page at TEDx Detroit. You can search Facebook, TEDx Detroit, and join the 10,000 roughly
I heard you had
followers.
500 submissions.
It was a ridiculous amount. And think about it, right? So you're just pouring through that to figure out which one of these ideas is worth spreading, and then you're trying to match it up so it's not just the same thing. Here's the secret. Don't be a white guy talking about soft skills, right? Don't come in and talk about leadership or motivation.
Bob, you're screwed, Bob.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
There will be no Bob sales guy TEDx
We don't
talk.
want any sales talks, right? Got to be out there coming up with something that's going to be different, that's going to grab attention, that's going to be that idea.
Podcasting. The next big frontier.
That's where the world's
Finding your
moving.
voice.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Finding your voice with Bob and Dave from Podcast Detroit.
We'll book it now.
Sweet.
You guys there.
You heard it here. Record it, Dave.
Yeah, right? It's on there. Hey, Jerry said, oh, man, it's a great time. And every year, I look at what we did, and I'm like, man, I don't know how we're going to top that. And every year, we absolutely blow it out of the water.
I talked about that because I was on the second class of the L. Brooks 40 under 40, right? Mm-hmm. So like everyone joked, like, you were the ones that got passed over the first class. I'm like, no, I never, we didn't
even know about it, right?
But now they have like 6 classes. I'm like, you guys are really bottom of the, I mean, but you guys aren't doing that. There's no, like, you guys got passed up 4 years ago and now we finally got to you because we ran out of stuff. You guys are still bringing it. And I think as technology changes and ideas change, and we're going through evolvements every 6 months. It's kind of like when I worked at Hewlett Packard, right? We always joked, if you don't like your job, just wait 6 months, it'll change. And that's what we're dealing with right now.
And that's, back to the earlier segment when you're talking about just the growth and the changes in Detroit. I had the good opportunity to hang out with a guy named Stephen Luigi Piazza out of Quicken Loans. He's
German guy, right?
Bankers, yeah. Yeah. You should see him at an Oktoberfest near you soon, right? He's got the lederhosen and everything.
I thought I recognized that name.
Yeah, for sure. So Stephen and I walked around, right? We took a little walking tour of Detroit, and he was showing me what's going on building by Brush Park. Right, and in every single building, on every single floor, there was something happening. Right, so the growth and the change that's happening downtown, in particular, is staggering. He said, for every year that goes by, we're going through 4 years of development, new construction, and change. So you think about that. By the time we get to 2020, it's actually going to be like 2032. It's an amazing change that's happening here.
By the time Detroit's awesome, I'm going to be 80. It's going to be. I can't wait.
You're going to be 4 years older than you are now. Yeah, he's running. And
so we'll still be at the same dive bars drinking pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't see any of it.
The building is great. The building is great, but then my friends at GM and at Blue Cross and at CompUR bitch about the hour and a half commute from Rochester Hills.
Right. It's because we're still working 2-lane freeways. That's fantastic.
No kidding, right?
I-75. You're about 20 years past your life cycle.
3 lanes on both, but then you out by me in Auburn Hills, it's like 6 lanes aside when you get by Great Lakes Crossing.
It's a hell of a nice bridge you guys got out there with the sign.
You like that?
Yeah, it's really.
I signed off on that.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm on the TIFA board.
They had to get your approval for that.
Totally,
well done.
Totally.
I didn't realize how new Auburn Hills was. What an exciting time.
Well, it was Auburn Heights.
See, very nice. A little rebrand, as it were.
Totally.
Wasn't it Pontiac
East Detroit
Heights at one point?
It was Pontiac
Changing
Heights.
our name to serve you better.
Yeah, East Detroit is East Point because they changed everything.
That's very fancy.
And then next, with all the rebranding of all the neighborhoods, it could be like All Hill or All Hill, yeah.
That I'm all done.
Auburn Hills.
You're all done.
Can you turn his mic off?
He's turn it off.
Yeah,
just stop.
And he's only drinking energy drinks. Who knew?
Compliments of Kickstart, Mountain Dew Kickstart, compliments of the Motor City Comic Con.
Monroe Comic Con.
Motor City? Did I say Monroe Comic Con?
It was Monroe Comic Con.
Jesus Christmas.
I think Monroe Comic Con was on Grand River, wasn't it?
It was.
Where's the bell? Hit it. You sons of bitches. Terry, couldn't thank you enough for the time spent with us.
Always a pleasure.
Find you online at Terry, or just you personally, just Terry Bean. You can't not be found because you're everywhere.
Well, it's trybean.com.
Yeah, it's trybean.com. You Google Terry Bean right now. I still have some issues, man. There's a Terry Bean. You didn't, of all people.
Oh,
there's a
political
Terry
fundraiser.
Bean. Yeah, that's a political fundraiser out of Oregon. Turns out he's a bit of a child molester.
Ooh.
Shockingly, not me. Yeah,
hopefully.
Dude, that's,
that's the picture that comes up when I Google
That's a bad scene, bro. You spend a lot of time trying to work and own Google.
Maybe you should change it to T-E-R or I.
Right, Terry with an I. I would do one R, though. I would be kind of swanky like that.
Bean with an E, like Billy Bean. We can do either
2
one.
E's like Joffrey.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make you a Wikipedia page.
That's the answer right there. I didn't want to do anything, dude. There was court cases and changes and documents flying for the last year. It started to settle down because I've got the Google alert, and every other day there was 10 different things showing up. I'm like, I can't compete with this amount of traction. So now it's slowing down a little bit because this is almost a year and a half old now.
Oh,
you
God.
are the first result, though.
Well, so I got that going for me.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
TEDxDetroit.com. Terry Bean, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Dr. Hook, Jeremiah, Billy Straughter from Social Coop. This is the IT and the D Show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hey guys, it's Ty Mogg, Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. You're listening to the ITintheD Show.
ITintheD.com.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.
Welcome back, segment 4, episode 166, the one and only IT and the D Show, broadcasting out of the Golden Tower, out of the one-story building in Royal Oak, Michigan, known as Podcast Detroit. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek. Nuri the FNG is SIC. Find us online at ITintheD.com. So many letters. So many letters.
It's like reading a tech manual. We have all the acronyms. But yeah, and again, don't forget, so 10/20, that's next Thursday, we'll be in the back room of the Blackfin. I think I have to update our November event, but next Thursday we're good. We are in the back room of the Blackfin, and we'll be there starting at 5 o'clock. No agendas, no sales pitches, no speakers. Just good, cool networking, fun, hanging out with some of the best and coolest people here in the IT
And I'll be at the
industry
bar
in
stool in the back corner, and Dave will yell at me.
As per usual. It's a tradition.
But hey, we got
tradition.
we got none other than, it's been a long time since you've been here. We have Dr. Hook, Jeremiah from Daily Detroit in the house.
And I think the last time I was here, Billy was here.
That is correct, sir.
Are you guys tag team partners?
I guess now we are.
Cool.
You're the Stevie Wonder.
That's Billy Strotter from Social Cool Media and The Scoop with Billy Strotter that you can hear only at podcastdetroit.com.
That's the only place.
So let's start with
Do
you.
you talk more on your show? I just got to ask. Do you?
No.
I was going to say, like, Billy wants to do a podcast. What else is he going to do? Just sit there and like, Twitter. Yeah, no.
The Twitters.
Yeah,
He's
the
going to tweet
Twitters.
about being in a studio.
No,
It's
I guess,
just a podcast of just the tweet noise the whole time.
so, I mean,
Thumb tapping.
Yes.
Billy, let's start
It's
with
just
you.
the sound of me texting.
What's your podcast about?
Well, we talk a lot about social media, digital marketing, anything new that's happening with the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Snapchats. You use Snapchat, don't you, Bub?
Sparingly.
I never see anything from
Very
it.
sparingly.
I know. And so
I use Twitter sparingly. I don't. Like, if I Snapchat with me, if I want to take a picture, I want to take that picture. I just don't want to share it for 24 hours. I don't understand it. Maybe because I'm an old man. I don't like. I take pictures more than
Yeah. And you do a great job managing the Instagram. You really do.
3 pictures a week.
That's it.
Yeah.
3 pictures a week is what Bob posts.
Right.
But that
The contract's for only $20 a month.
Right.
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 And that's pretty much what we talk about. And then occasionally we'll have an in-studio guest to figure out what it's like being a digital marketing or social media manager at a company like, we'll say, DTE, for example.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh, my word. Are you Snapchatting right now?
Yeah. Oh, that's a bad look.
Yeah,
no, I was
it's
just
all right.
Instagramming.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Smile real quick.
Hi, Mom.
This is great radio.
This is perfect for radio.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, so Jeremiah, what's new with you? Since Bob's busy doing other things.
Yeah, exactly. There can't be, I don't think there is a more exciting time to be talking about Detroit and engaging people in that conversation. Daily Detroit's been going like gangbusters this past year, and it's really been interesting to see how the coverage is, how things have kind of shifted from, oh my gosh, pay attention to me, it's Detroit, to having a much better and more in-depth conversation around, okay, yes, people are paying attention to Detroit, but what actually is happening here, and what are the actual effects of all these things, and all these new stakeholders coming into town, what does it actually mean? And so it's become a lot more fun since, kind of starting like the blogging world back when I worked at the Hub and 02 or whatever, and we met at Augie's.
You're getting somewhere because you have a lot more imitators now these days.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's not that often, but Detroit's kind of it's a weird dichotomy right now, and I don't want to say you've gotten destroyed a little bit, but you've gotten kind of some flack for being positive, and I think that's awesome that you're doing what you're doing. Not focusing on like the shit and the ruin porn.
Well, so here's the.
But like, why do people still want that?
Well, I think there's a few sides to this. I think from a personal perspective, okay, there's going to be like 15 people over at the car wreck. That story is covered. That's not really the point, right? Like, there's no point to doing something where you're just adding on top of everybody else, writing basically all these 10 outlets are all writing the same thing, and God bless them for it. That's what they do, right? Like, you expect something like the Free Press to write every story that's going on out there. There's no point to adding another voice to that. What there is a point is adding texture, depth, raising up neighborhood voices, and doing different stories than other people do. And we are critical at times, but we don't get into the mayhem side of things. And I think in part it's just because it's not something that really interests us, and there are like 10 or 12 different outlets that are constantly doing mayhem, and that works for them. So I think that's the other side, right? So I think there's two sides of it. Like, for us, we like to do criticism and talk about policy and get a little nerdy, even at the sacrificing to the point where people, may not pay not as many people may pay attention to that as, say, a list of
Five best burgers.
5 best burgers. Hey,
6 best bars.
It's all the things, right?
Jared, we talk about this all the time.
shows of all time.
Yeah. Me and Dave argue about this all the time, and it fits into your world too, and it drives us batshit crazy.
Totally.
We could say, hey, free job at GM, just click here.
Well, we've been doing more.
Nothing. Hey, here's a Star Wars meme that makes fun of Obi-Wan. 3 billion shares. And we're like, what?
You can't decide for people. You can't decide what's popular. You can only create things that are true to your vision and the stories that you want to tell, but you can't make things be popular.
Well, has BuzzFeed and Deadspin destroyed traditional media? Because we're seeing right now the free presses of the world doing really clickbaity, shitty, like almost like we want to be BuzzFeed 2 stuff
Poop water
for clicks.
So here's the issue.
What?
Poop water.
They published poop water for crying out loud.
That was so good, though.
How hard is it to say raw
paid
sewage?
2 people's salaries on that poop water post because, and here's the reason. Here's the problem, right? So digital media, and to an extent, there's a difference between podcasts and videos and things like
Absolutely.
that. And I really, we're doing more in the podcast and the video thing now. We just did this thing with the Farmer's Hand, which is a really interesting all local market. It was a really good visual story. But the reality is, online, poop water and a 3,000-word essay on the economic challenges of a neighborhood in Detroit, per page view, they get paid the same amount of money. The problem is that there's no difference in the marketplace between poop water and a reporter who's went ahead and spent 3 days, or a writer, or I don't want to just limit it to one thing, but somebody who spent 3 days on a story and has really thrown effort into it. There is no difference in monetary compensation. And so from a business perspective, from a pure business perspective, you're going to run poop water without any other support. That's one of the reasons why we have a membership program. Thank you, Bob, for being a member.
He called the shit poop, by the way.
Right.
You have to
milk
have
that
poop
line all
water
day.
for hard-hitting journalism.
Well, poop is hard-hitting.
No, but what editor? You wonder if it was the editor going, let's turn raw sewage to poop water, or if it was the writer going, we really should run with poop water because they'll get all those
so the other
clickety
side
clicks.
of that-
Don't even run it past the editor. Let's see if we can get it through.
I don't want to cast aspersions, but I do say that places are becoming more and more nationalized. So you've got Gannett that owns a bunch of papers, and then they're in negotiations to buy Tronc, which was the Chicago Tribune. Soon you're going to have newspapers act like TV networks where you're losing the local. You have local people there, like Fox Sports Detroit is local, right? But they shoot the show in San Diego. Right? That's more and more what's happening. And there's going to be a need for that. And I understand the economics, but that's just not what we do. And we're going to stay true to what we do and highlight more voices. We're actually hiring more writers. I'm very proud that we've been able to diversify our team significantly in the last year. Bringing voices from the neighborhoods, the east side, the west side, increasing our suburban coverage, and really bringing up those kind of grassroots voices and kind of an evolution of what we've been doing. We partnered with the Eightwood blog, covering Ferndale, doing a partnership with my old place I used to work, the Detroit Regional News Hub, bringing some and highlighting some of their stories, working with Marge and Karen over there, sharing each other's content, because that's the need out there.
Well, but Jared, the most important question here is, have you hired someone from South Detroit?
Actually,
Wyandotte?
if you go to our list of the 5, of course it's a list, the 5 restaurants you need to check out in Windsor, yes, South Detroit, Jessica.
Well
so
done.
technically Windsor, I've got an answer.
Well done.
That was Taylor.
Well, so
born and raised in Wyandotte has a way better ring though to it.
well, there's a bar in Windsor now, South Detroit, isn't there? Like there's a whole thing that they're embracing that they're South Detroit.
That's in Windsor, yeah.
Yeah, over
it's
in
Scott
Windsor.
Demore's bar, the wrestling guy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, so there's just so many interesting stories and things. Sure, we'll do silly stuff. We like doing silly stuff. It's kind of who we are. But also spending time, into the weeds, doing policy things and talking about we're working on a story about the reason why there should be more duplexes in development in Detroit so that we could have more individual homeowners instead of just developers, and what the power of the duplex could be.
So not just all the little tiny houses they were talking about?
Right, not just the tiny houses. That thing was small, man. Like going in there?
Was it like a grand total of like 600 square feet?
No.
300.
Four. Yeah.
350 to 400 inside this little thing. And you're just like, you go in there and you just turn around. The bed's in like a nook, like off by the door. I mean, it's for what it is. It's a very innovative and interesting solution. I'm all for innovation and trying things. I wonder what the resale value is, but I don't think that's the point. I think the point is to give people the opportunity to own something, and it's to try something.
To make something theirs.
Right.
In an affordable way.
Ownership's a big deal, man. Changes things.
It's a huge deal. And so some of the question has to be moving forward with Detroit is like, how are we going to diversify that ownership of people being involved? Through the foreclosure crisis, Detroit led the nation in private property ownership for decades. And it was part of our strengths. One of the things that made us Detroit. And more and more that's changing. And with the foreclosure crisis, you have out-of-town speculators. You have consolidation of purchasing in areas like the downtown. So how do we create something that people actually have a chance? My biggest criticism of Detroit, whether it's transit or property access or things like that, we always tell people pull themselves up by the bootstraps. The problem is, from a policy perspective, we need to give people some damn bootstraps. And that's what we have to advocate for.
Or at least show them where they are. Right?
Yeah.
Jerry, one of the biggest issues I saw, remember I told you my boss was from Miami, and he said, yeah, my buddy bought like 10 acres over to like around Corktown. He's just sitting on it, like doesn't care. And that's the problem.
Totally.
If you buy property and rehab it, I have no issues with that. You buy property and sit on it, Matty Maroon style. Yeah. Again, I don't have issues with it because you do what you want to do with it's your business.
But I think if you're purchasing it in auction and things like that, you should have a responsibility to honor that, right?
And I think
bring it onto the tax roll.
That's the auction. That's the auction seller's responsibility. I don't think it's the guy buying it. I don't know. Call me crazy.
But so that's why there's been more caveats and things like the property auctions as of late.
Yeah, like the land bank and that sort of thing.
The land bank, right. So if you get a property from the land bank, you can get loans. If you're a property owner and it's your property that you're going to live on, there's actually bank programs available through like Talmer and other folks, but you have to fix it.
Well, didn't we talk about it's like backwards? Like Rochester Hills, for example, if you buy a dilapidated building and you don't beautify it or whatever the word is, you get fines. But the taxes are lower, and like in Detroit, the taxes are higher, and you don't get fines if you don't rehab that building. Like some of these, like the War Building, there should have been like incentives or something to get people building that years ago, and instead it just sat there dormant. Luckily, it's being brought back to life, for crying out loud, but still, it's.
Well, the market forces are all out of whack in Detroit. I mean, I don't think people realize it's really hard to get a mortgage to to improve a house, right? Because you need things like a water tank. You need things like plumbing in the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, the skeleton of the house is quite possibly gone.
Right. So you can pick up the house for cheap. You could actually renovate it for an affordable price, right? You could turn it around for 15 or 20 grand, but you can't get that bridge money to make that happen. And then your comps are so strange because you have a large amount of out-of-town buyers and foreign buyers who are coming in with cash and just running the table on the market. 2 years ago, 94% of all home sales in Detroit were cash. That's crazy town.
Didn't Oprah buy? And was that just a joke?
I heard something about that, but
so did I.
It was never confirmed. But you look at that and you go, if 90+% is cash, no wonder people feel disenfranchised. Of course they do, because the only people who can buy, like even all of us in this room, we do okay, right? But like,
I'm going to play Jared. No, I don't do okay.
But most people in there. That's right. If you're hiring, Bob at ITintheD.com.
That's right. Bob launched the bat signal today. So
I did.
Exactly. If you needed the awesome sales guy, Bob at ITintheD.com.
I cried for an hour when that thing went live.
He brings a whole network with him.
A whole network.
Quick.
But so no wonder people feel disenfranchised, because even if you're in the middle class, even if you're in the upper middle class, who the hell has $30 or $50 or $100,000 in cash sitting around? That automatically means
Billy.
That only the 1%.
Seriously? Right now, you got to announce that?
Sorry.
I'm just joking, people. Seriously, I don't have $100,000.
We're in Royal Oak.
No, Bob just wants you to hire him.
No, but that was one of the dumbest news articles I've seen come out that talks about Gen Xers and millennials, how they have like no money in savings accounts. And I'm like, anyone that has $10,
none of us
I don't
did.
think anybody did at 25.
No.
None of us did.
But even if you're 40, like that money's all in like brokerage accounts and stocks. That money ain't in savings accounts because I know it makes 1.5 points.
Right.
Like anyone that has money ain't leaving it in savings. Yeah, if you're lucky, 1.5 points.
But so think about this for a second. You're tying into the brokerage and savings and things like that. Let's say even if you did make that liquid somehow, think about the level of income you need to have $50,000 or $100,000 in cash. And so if you wonder why the
Drug
changes
dealers
are happening so much in Detroit and so quickly, is because you have a completely whacked, unbalanced market where the middle class has no access. And we have to create – there's some programs on the edges, but it needs to be a policy priority that access to the middle class and to the lower class for lower economic class for home ownership comes back to Detroit. And right now it's not there.
And I always hear like I talk to a few people and everybody like, hey, what's going on great downtown, but what about the neighborhoods? And I sit there and I look and I go, what? Like I don't know what you mean. Like, well, do you know what they mean? Because I sure as hell don't.
So there's a few things. Does
that make sense? What I'm saying?
It does, but let's put this into context, right? So Dan, I call him Danny G, like Kenny G. Dan Gilbert. I know there's a DVC
He doesn't
guy
drink,
here.
by the way.
It's really funny if you lay over Kenny G over Dan Gilbert speaking. It's really funny.
Don't ever buy Dan Gilbert a bottle of Johnny Walker Black if you see him at the bar. I'm just throwing that out there right now.
Personal experience.
You just wind up disappointed.
But they put Chris Ilitch, Dan Gilbert, and someone else on CNBC, and they talked about $8 billion into the downtown. And downtown is still not like 100% there. Like if you compare a lot of what's happening in downtown, we still don't have the walkability. We still have steps that we need to take to get it all the way up there. And so think about how much money it's going to take.
We don't even have regional transit.
Exactly. How the hell are you going to get a job?
Just saying.
But that's one of the things we have to fight for, right? From a policy perspective. And that's the thing. So in the neighborhoods, they look at and they see all these things happening downtown. And people have been sticking out for decades, believing in Detroit, putting the meager resources they have into what they've got going on, banding together with great groups like Motor City Blight Busters, doing all these things by the sweat of their brow. And they look at someone like Dan Gilbert or the Illiches, and they go, what about me? I mean, that's how I can understand the perspective.
But how sad is that when you have to have Motor City Blight Busters and the Mower Gang to like take care of that shit? And I'll call it shit.
Yeah, and Bob, to be fair though, I mean, Detroit is an extremely large city.
Huge. It's like 142 square miles. I mean, that's ginormous.
And that brings its own set of problems. But
it's ginormous and poor.
But we can't forget. I mean, certainly, you're going to generally have investment in a downtown area first. Yep. But certainly, no one has forgotten about the neighborhoods, and no one has forgotten about the people who have stuck it out, who have been here from the beginning, and who have certainly weathered the storm. And you have organizations all of the time, like Motor City Match, that's trying to connect building owners with business owners to get more businesses into the neighborhoods, and not just downtown, but in the neighborhoods. And then you certainly have Techtown, right? So a lot of people don't think about what Techtown does from a neighborhood standpoint, but what Regina is doing with SWAT City and Retail Boot Camp. And so like Retail Boot Camp is for people who are looking to start businesses in the city, but they don't necessarily have to live in the city to go through that program. And so they're bringing people from the suburbs into the neighborhoods to create solutions there. Because if you have a place to shop in your neighborhood, then that brings in people not just moving into Midtown, but looking at University District.
Right.
Or, whatever other neighborhoods you may want to think about. That's all I got.
No. And that was always the thing with, my family all being in Germany. That was the cool thing about where they lived is you can walk to a train station, you walk to the bakery, the meat shop, the vegetable stand.
Well, that's the
and
idea
it was
of-
one. You didn't have a wall. Like when they come here, they want to go to Costco. Well, to them, Costco is like a beer garden to me.
Well,
what is this monstrosity? Like we just go to these small little stands.
Well, that's actually one of the ideas behind Mayor Duggan's 20-minute neighborhoods initiative. The idea being is to create,
And that's what I was referring to.
clusters
Yeah.
where it's like 20 minutes. Within 20 minutes of walking, you can get all the basics that you actually need.
Sure.
And those kind of urban areas are actually what help create innovation. They help create opportunity because when you run into other people, as you guys know, you guys are like the networking kings. You guys know it's all
I'm
about
a pauper. Dave's the king.
You guys know it's all about bringing people together and creating those kind of opportunities and showing people that those opportunities exist. Because as wonderful as a program like Grand Circus is, there's a lot of people who still don't even know it exists. And part of that is connection and sharing information.
How many people don't even know like the Comcast? We talk about it all the time.
Awareness versus adoption. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, doesn't have a huge adoption rate. Okay, well, how much of that is because people aren't aware of it?
Right.
Well, and you have, and I mentioned Techtown, but you can't forget the work that Build Institute does, and then of course you have Jefferson East and
the Vanity. I mean, the chance that the Vanity Ballroom could come back is very high, and that would be amazing for that side of town.
Well, and even Southwest, right? You've got lots of different organizations in Southwest.
The Southwest Business Association, there just recently got a grant to kind of reactivate themselves, which is awesome.
And that's what I don't know if I should. I just hate social media because of this crap. But like you see, like, hey, here's a small house project, and we're going to build these little $60,000 houses for homeless people.
But what about?
Then everybody gets pissy, and I don't get it. Doesn't matter what's being built. So my joke is when on social, something if curbed or if anyone posts something, I go, if the architectural specs aren't up to my liking, I'm just going to complain on the internet because it's like, well, aren't you just happy shit's getting built?
And not everything's for you.
No.
And that's okay.
No, right.
Not everything is for you.
Like,
wait, what?
You and your
that's
like
the issue.
Shinola watch wearing, I know. That's what I'm giving you. Both. There's two Shinolas here. Wait. Any more? No. All right. But like,
Shinola wearing.
You look at the
VW driving, jet flying.
Right. You look at somebody who's like a
Will Leather owning.
Yeah. You put all that stuff together, it's like, sure, that's a vocal subset, but oftentimes what's popular is not actually what's needed in a community. That's one of the challenges of crowdfunding, right? So crowdfunding is very powerful and very good. Sometimes you get stuff helping like the Tricycle Collective, which is an amazing thing where they're raising $30,000 to buy people's homes back from the auction so they don't lose their houses, right? But then you also get $30,000 for, and I think it's an interesting idea, but like then you have $30,000 for a RoboCop statue. Right, and that gets all the press.
Where's the damn RoboCop statue?
I've got people on it. I've been.
Why
asking.
is it not at Michigan and Trumbull at the PAL Stadium? That is the most perfect place for that stupid thing.
Well, it's not, and it's still in the artist's shop right now. They're still not done with it.
Let's put it out front of Podcast Detroit. Thank you. We'll write a letter. I know.
We'll put that out there. I'll send a note.
Maybe it could tour and just show up like the Stanley Cup when you win it. It goes from place to place. We could do the same thing with the RoboCop statue.
That would actually be a lot of fun.
10-foot bronze statue would be a pain in the ass to move like that.
We'll get an 86.
We're creating jobs, Dave.
We'll get an 86 silver Ford Taurus and glue them to the roof and then drive it around.
There you go. As the roof caves in. So RoboCop's going to be like our Rocky, right?
Yeah. But then they moved Rocky from the top of the art museum steps to like the side and the bottom.
Well, it wasn't even there for remember we were talking about that with the people there. It was like miles away for a couple of years.
The Shishi art people didn't want it there because it took all the attention away from the real art. And then they had to move.
And they finally realized that enough people like Bob and I were coming to town and going, where the F is the Rocky statue, bitches.
And then we got to stand on the bottom of this. Then we walk up to the steps.
You can't even run up the steps?
No, you can run up the steps, but the statue's not there anymore.
But I couldn't run.
I couldn't your picture with the Rocky statue, and then you run up the steps.
I couldn't run up the steps, but that's another story.
Bob sauntered.
Rolling down the steps.
Bob sauntered up
I
the
made
steps.
it up there.
Did you?
It took me like a half an hour, but I made it.
We got him a Sherpa and a walking stick.
Maybe
You can do it.
I wanted a tauntaun, but they didn't exist. But hey, we are going to wrap things up. Jeremiah, we could probably sit here and talk about this all night, but I appreciate you guys spending time with us. Damien, I appreciate spending time with us from Grand Circus, Terry, TEDx, Billy Strotter, Social Coop Media, Jeremiah from Daily Detroit. Want to thank our sponsors, Lenovo, for this episode 166 of the IT and the D Show. Do us a favor, drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. Drive careful. See you next week. Beat it.
The emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Long live Flash! You've saved your ass. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name?
Murphy. Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth, Ruth.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
Joe on the cheese.
Fear me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would, Buick put their cars next to, the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just doing stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city.
I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.